Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some must-draft quarterbacks for fantasy football in 2021. Inside of this video, we're going to be talking about 5 quarterbacks that go in a variety of spots throughout your 2021 fantasy football drafts. Now, in this video, I'm not going to be talking about Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, kind of the more obvious guys that obviously everyone knows should be relatively good year in and year out. I'm going to be talking about the guys that are kind of a little bit later in the draft, not necessarily guys going past pick 100, because some of these guys are middle round picks, but no one that is super obvious that I think would just be stupid to include in this video. So if you guys do end up enjoying this video talking about my must-draft quarterbacks for fantasy football in 2021, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 fantasy football league. So without further ado, let's get into it. At number 1, the number 1 must-draft guy. Now, this isn't necessarily in order. It's more based upon the ADP of where the guys are going currently in drafts based upon underdog. The first guy to talk about here is a guy that was hated heavily by myself, but I have admitted that I was wrong multiple times about this guy. It's Justin Herbert, the pervert, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, coming into the NFL, me and many people alike thought that Justin Herbert was a certified bum, that he had played no competition at Oregon, that he was going to get to the next level, and this guy needed to sit on the bench to ride Tyrod Taylor's coattails. But instead, Tyrod Taylor got hit with the 1-2 stabby stab to the chest like his name was Julius Caesar, and he was out for the foreseeable future because the doctor stabbed him in the lung, and Justin Herbert had to come in up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and ever since then, it was history. Justin Herbert puts up momentous numbers. He's putting up numbers on these defenses that I did not see possible. His first game, week 2, he gets told 4 seconds before the game starts, hey, Justin, you're going to be starting this game. And I'm like, the Chiefs are going to butt-fuck Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. I thought this was going to be a rout, but the Chiefs are starting to get railed by Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert claws them into this game. Eventually, they end up losing, but Justin Herbert from there on out earned my respect. I was like, you know what? Maybe it could have been a fluke, but it wasn't, because every single game, this guy is keeping a not-so-good Chargers team in the game, and based upon the additions they have made throughout the offseason, I feel as though Herbert has the potential to be even better in 2021. Coming off the board currently as player number 69, very nice, 0.5, and it has been going down, so he is going to potentially be an even higher draft pick, in my opinion, by the time we get to August. Now, with quarterbacks, they will go throughout your draft in such a weird order because everyone has such a variety of opinion on quarterbacks, whereas at the running back position, the top 10 guys are kind of the top 10 guys, but at quarterback, it's pretty different. There's a whole variety of guys that could finish as top 10 guys. So Justin Herbert last year finished as quarterback number 9 in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, and quarterback 9 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, playing in 15 games last season. From a points per game perspective, he was quarterback 9 in 4-point, tied with Lamar, and quarterback 9 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, averaging 22.4 4-point per passing touchdown points per game, and 26.3 6-point per passing touchdown points per game. So what did Justin Herbert do so good last year? It was basically everything. This guy is dicing up the defense like he's Gordon fucking Ramsay. He is surgical on the defense, and literally there was just nothing stopping him. And he even has the legs of not necessarily Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have the legs of Kyler Murray, but he also has that other aspect to his game. He had 55 carries last year, which is 10th highest at the quarterback position. He had 234 rushing yards, 13th highest at the quarterback position, and 5 total touchdowns, 6th highest at the quarterback position. So Justin Herbert was playing very, very well last season on the ground. Now, through the air, again, this guy was playing surgical. It was a surgical summer, like when Drake went toe-to-toe with that other rapper whose name is escaping my brain. I apologize to whoever that is. I know they're watching. He threw the ball 595 times last season, 4th highest at the quarterback position for 4,336 passing yards. He also threw for a grand total of, drum roll please, 31 touchdowns to just 10 INTs. Those 31 passing touchdowns were at a 5.2% rate. Now, I bring up quarterback touchdown rate because, in my opinion, it is very important when trying to understand a quarterback's performance on the season. Around a 5% rate is very, very normal. If Justin Herbert was throwing like an 8% touchdown rate, then in my head and in the head of a lot of fantasy analysts, football analysts, we would think, hey, this has to go down. It is very hard to throw 8% of your balls as touchdowns. Obviously, he threw it at 5.2% clip. I think that is going to be very normal to last season, so that is very good. Interesting enough, Justin Herbert last year, according to PlayerProfiler.com, had a 79.0% protection rate, 34th highest at the quarterback position. So that means the offensive line and his protection was completely dog shite. But they ended up addressing that in the 2021 NFL Draft and bringing in guys in the offseason, bringing in a new center for him in Corey Linsley out of the Green Bay Packers. And his weapons are still very good. He still has Keenan Allen. He still has Mike Williams. They lose Hunter Henry, but they bring in Jared Cook. Austin Eckler should hopefully be healthy for the remainder of the 2021 NFL season. So I would think that Herbert's efficiency can even get better. And they also ditched the biggest dunce cap head coach I have ever seen grace the NFL. I'm just kidding. There are definitely much worse head coaches than Anthony Lynn, but that guy is a certified idiot. And now that he is gone, I think the numbers for Herbert can be even better. And hopefully the offensive line blocks a little bit better for Mr. Herbert, the pervert, in 2021. Next up, we got my boy, my man, Matthew Stafford, quarterback of the LA Rams, underdog ADP 101.6. Now, I've talked about Matthew Stafford so many times. I'm basically on my knees for this guy because, in my opinion, Matthew Stafford is going to lit the league on fucking fire because, frankly, this guy does not get the respect that he deserves. He was drafted so many years ago, the #1 overall pick out of Georgia to the Lions. They're looking at this guy to be the franchise guy, which he was. He's putting up all these numbers. He has no help. But, Nick, he had Megatron all those years. Yeah, and then Megatron said, fuck this organization. I am leaving. And then Stafford's just stuck there with the thumb up his ass trying to get this team into relevancy. And he just, frankly, could not do it all on his own, but now he is joined with Sean McVay, with Robert Woods, with Cam Akers, with fucking Cooper Kupp, with all these wide receivers, with these running backs, with a tight end in Tyler Higbee, with a head coach that actually understands the game of football. Currently coming off the board at underdog ADP of 101.6. Matthew Stafford is going to surprise the average football fan. Why is that? Because the average football fan does not respect Matthew Stafford. They have never watched a Lions game in their life for good reason. For good reason. Who's watching a Lions game? I do because I love Matthew Stafford, but no one else is watching a Lions game on Red Zone. You want to see when you see the Lions game when their defense is getting bent over a table and fucked relentlessly by the offense, and it just sucks. It sucks if you're a Lions fan. I'm not. Luckily, I'm a Dolphins fan, and we're pretty good. But the Lions, they don't have a great future because they have Jared Goff as their quarterback, but the Rams have a great future. Last year in 16 games, finishing as quarterback 16 in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, and quarterback 15 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, meaning from a points per game basis, he was quarterback 23 in 4-point and 21 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, averaging 16.3 4-point per passing touchdown points per game, averaging 19.5 6-point per passing touchdown points per game. And he did this without his biggest weapon. He didn't even have Kenny Bones for a majority of the season. That is Kenny Golladay. Sure, Marvin Jones played for a lot of the season, but again, Golladay was the clear #1 option there in Detroit. And this guy is still putting up the big numbers. Year in, year out, Matthew Stafford puts the team on his back. Last year, throwing the ball 528 times, 12th highest at the quarterback position for 4,084 yards, 12th highest at quarterback, and 26 passing touchdowns, 12th highest at the quarterback position. But he also ended up throwing 10 interceptions. So 26 touchdowns to 10 interceptions is a pretty solid season. 4.9% passing touchdown rate on the year, which again is pretty solid because that 5% number is very normal, but it could go way higher, obviously, because the LA Rams receivers, their coaching, their offensive line is just so much better. Just like with Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford's protection rating was garbage. It was like a condom that was ripped completely in half. 77.8% protection rate, meaning he was the 36th highest protected quarterback in the NFL. And again, remember, there's only 32 starting quarterbacks, so these guys that are riding the bench even get a better protection rate than Matthew Stafford. Now, unlike Mr. Justin Herbert that we talked about earlier, year. Matthew Stafford is not a guy that is going to fucking try to juke out the opponents and try to rush the rock into the end zone. 0 rushing touchdowns last year, 29 carries, and just a grand total of 112 rushing yards, which obviously adds up across the season, but in reality, from a game-to-game basis, it means absolutely nothing. So that is one of the knocks of Stafford, but again, when you stand in the pocket, you make these throws like Patrick Mahomes does, sidearm, maneuvering his way through the pocket. He does have maneuverability, but he doesn't try to just bust a run off like Kyler Murray or something like that. So overall, I think that Stafford situation in LA is just so much better than it was in Detroit. He is an actual head coach. I mean, Matt Patricia was a certified idiot as well, just like with Anthony Lynn. So I think that we are going to see Stafford really make moves in 2021 and really light it up for everyone who has doubted Matthew Stafford that he's just putting up all these numbers because he's on a bad team. That's what they'll say. That's the devil on your shoulder. That's what it's telling you. But in my mind, you avoid it. You listen to the angel himself, Matthew Stafford, who's going to take you to your fantasy football championship in 2021. If you want to continue to build that path to your 2021 fantasy football championship, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out this content every single day, and back into it, hit that like button as well. It helps me out a ton. It's almost my 22nd birthday. I'm officially getting fucking old. In 3 days, I turn 26. Wish a happy birthday to my dad. He watches the videos. He'll see the comments. It's his birthday today. If you made it this far, say happy birthday to Nick's dad. He would love that, okay? Last year's first overall pick, the guy who was thought to be the king of the castle, very nice, of the Cincinnati Bengals, but he ends up getting hurt. They end up cutting him up, Tyrod Taylor style, because he tore his ACL. Because the offensive line of this team is terrible. That is the number 1 overall pick out of LSU, Joey Money Burrow. I don't know if that's actually what they call him. I just call him Joey B. Joey Handsome, Joey Burrow. Underdog ADP 93.7. Light FM. I don't know if that's even a fucking radio station, but I thought that was funny. So Joey B obviously ends up getting hurt last year. It seemed like Mr. Burrow was starting to really tear the league a new asshole. He was looking very strong, but obviously tearing your ACL in week 11, needing knee reconstruction surgery is not very good. But all of the news outlets are saying right now that Mr. Burrow is going to be good to go week number 1 of the 2021 NFL season. So the injury, you just kind of throw it away. Nowadays, like, an ACL tear doesn't mean as much. I mean, like, obviously it's bad. You don't want your ACL to get torn. But with current medicine, with the NFL doctors, like, if you tear your ACL, maybe it's even more fucked up, right? Because you don't have, 7,000 of the best doctors ever in the NFL that are going to help you out, obviously, which sucks, but that's just how it works. Joe Burrow is going to be fine. He's going to be fine, but they did not draft him an offensive lineman. They did not draft him Penei Sewell. They instead elected to draft his buddy from college, wide receiver, Jamar Chase, holder of many SEC records, even better wide receiver in many eyes than Justin Jefferson, who lit it up in Minnesota last year, his other wide receiver. So Joe Burrow last year in 10 games finished as quarterback, 25 in 4-point as well as in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. From a points per game perspective, he was quarterback 18 in 4-point, tied with Wham Bam Cam Newton, and quarterback 19 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, averaging 17.4 4-point per passing touchdown points and 20.6 26-point per passing touchdown points per game. So he was pretty solid in both formats. Now, Joe Burrow is also a guy that is sneaky good at rushing the ball. In just those 10 games he played, he had 37 carries for a grand total of 136 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, he's more like Stafford in a way, but he's still going to definitely go out there and try and rush the rock. Now, this guy has a weapons list that would be banned from the United States. These are assault rifles, assault weapons. They have T. Higgins. They have Tyler Boyd. His name escaped me for a second. Tyler, yeah, Boyd. And they also have now wide receiver Jamar Chase, first round pick out of LSU, just like Joe Burrow was. So they've got a loaded weapons core. They got Joe Mixon. Now you have to hope to the fantasy lords. Pray with me. Say, please, fantasy lords, please, football gods, save Joe Burrow, please, because if Joe Burrow can have just an ounce of protection. Last year, an 82.5% protection rate, 24th highest to quarterback, so not as bad, but obviously still bad because he got his fucking leg ripped in half. So we got to hope Joe Burrow can stay healthy. Hope they give him the Trojan protection because Joe Burrow, this is going to be a big year. Their defense is not very good, which is good for the quarterback. Not good in reality, not good for the quarterback because he has to throw more, but in fantasy purposes, very good for the quarterback because you want your quarterback to be throwing the ball a lot. Sorry about that. I was moving a little too much, so it kind of went out of focus, but we back in focus. So Joe Burrow's stats last year were pretty solid. 404 passing attempts for 2,688 passing yards, as well as those rushing yards that I talked about a little bit earlier. Mr. Burrow also had some pretty solid passing touchdown to INT rate. He threw a grand total of 13 passing touchdowns, but at a 3.2% rate, which, like I said, definitely going to be higher. If you are not throwing around 5%, the number should likely increase, unless you suck, obviously. If you're a shitty quarterback, then it won't go back up. He threw 13 passing touchdowns to just 5 INTs. So again, a very solid passing touchdown to INT ratio, which is not going to be true about the guy we talk about next, but I do like Joe Burrow. I like this Cincinnati Bengals team. I like what they're doing, and I think that Joe Burrow can further accelerate what he did in 2020 to build on an even better 2021 NFL season. Next guy, like I said, a bit of a spoiler. This guy throws the ball out like it's nothing. This guy throws the ball to everyone on the field. You get a pass. You get a pass. You all get a pass, Oprah Winfrey style. This guy's throwing it to the coaches. He's throwing it to the defense. He's throwing it to the offense. He's throwing it to the Gatorade boy. He's throwing it to the cheerleaders. He's throwing it to you in the stands. He points at you, fucking Babe Ruth style. Boom. Bang, interception. But that's just what he does because Jameis Winston is a horse cock level quarterback where he just throws the ball everywhere. That's a Pitbull song, but Jameis Winston is in the New Orleans Saints. But Nick, Taysom Hill is there, Nick. Don't you realize Taysom Hill's going to take his job? If Taysom Hill takes Jameis Winston's job, then Jameis does not deserve this job. Jameis, in my opinion, is my must-own quarterback. These guys, I love them all. Jameis is going to be the guy that I ride to my championships in every single fucking league. Jameis Winston is going to prove everyone wrong. This guy got LASIK eye surgery. He can now see. Before, this guy was squinting on the sideline. He couldn't see anything, but now Jameis is coming back for vengeance in 2021. In 4 games last year, 0 starts. He finished as quarterback 68 in both formats, obviously with 0 starts. One guy away from being quarterback 69. Very nice. From a points per game perspective, quarterback 74 and 4 points, 74 and 6 point, and averaging 0.6 4-point per passing touchdown points per game, 0.6 6-point per passing touchdown points per game. So obviously, Jameis wasn't given much of a chance last year because even when Drew Brees was out, they put in Taysom Hill. Oh, Nick, shouldn't that worry you? Oh, boy. No. You want to know why? Because it seems like maybe they didn't want to use Jameis that much because if they did and Brees retired, which he did, then Jameis in those 5 games could have shown off greatness, and then you have to pay Jameis even more, and then other teams are fighting for Jameis, but now Jameis is free. He's free. You don't have to pay him very much money. He was a fucking backup last season, so you don't have to pay him. But now he's going to be the starter in New Orleans. Now, I understand the New Orleans offense wasn't as good last year. They still made the playoffs, but Drew Brees looked like a limp dick quarterback. He looked like he had no idea what was going on. But Jameis came into the game. If you remember against the Bucs, he threw a touchdown. Jameis, who eats W's, is still good. He's still good, and I believe that he is going to turn it around, and we are going to see a comeback story like no other. A true went from everyone hating Jameis Winston to everyone loving the crab stealer himself, Jameis Winston. And what's awesome about it is if I end up being wrong, he was only quarterback. He's going off the board as underdog ADP 186.0, so he was free. So even if he sucks, it's whatever, right? You just cut him. It's that simple, but I don't think he's going to suck. I really don't. I really do not. Now, his 2020 stats, they're just not there, obviously, because he barely played. But 2019, this was the famous Jameis year. This guy threw 49 interceptable passes. 49 interceptable passes in 2019. 66 danger plays versus player profiler. That's not good. But he threw 33 passing touchdowns. Second highest at quarterback. Threw the ball 626 times. For a grand total of 5,109 passing yards. Number 1 in the NFL. Number 1. He also rushed the ball a couple of times, 59 carries, 1 rushing touchdown, 250 rushing yards, and he was very good week in and week out for the Bucs. Now, I understand it is a different team, but this New Orleans offense is better than what I believe he was given in Tampa Bay. Now, the weapons were better in Tampa Bay, but I think the coaching here might be a little bit better because Jameis' whole career, he didn't have the greatest of coaching. I think Sean Payton is going to mold this guy into a Greek fucking god chiseled. He is going to look so good. I really believe this. Michael Thomas, Jameis Winston, 1-2 combo, bang bang, the two-piece combo from Popeyes. I really believe it. I really believe it. Popeyes has some fucking fire chicken. Have you guys had the new chicken sandwich from there? Maybe it's not even new at this point. I think it was new last year. I only had it like once or twice. That thing is bussin'. Let me know if you guys have had that down below. I know that obviously has nothing to do with this video, but it is very good. So, final quarterback I want to be talking about is my guy, a guy that I have also loved my whole life, except for last year, because I was severely pissed off as a Dolphins fan when Mr. Brian Flores was taking Tua out to put Fitzpatrick in. It won us the game up against the Raiders, so it's okay. But that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic himself. Current underdog ADP, 150.2. Jameis is Ryan Fitzpatrick on steroids. That's basically how I feel about it. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 100th percentile Wonderlic score. This dude is wicked smart. Wicked smart. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he went to some wicked smart schools. Well, he went to Harvard. He parked his car at the Harvard Yard. I can't even do that Boston accent, so I apologize to any of you Patriots fans out there who hate me for that. But in 9 games last year, with 7 starts, he finished as quarterback 28 4-point and 28 and 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. From a points per game perspective, he was quarterback 20 in 4-point and 20 in 6-point, averaging 17.1 4-point per passing points per game and 19.6 6-point or 19.9. I apologize, those numbers are a little bit confusing. 19.9 6-point per passing touchdown points per game. So Fitzpatrick was pretty good last year. Had a pretty solid protection rate, something that some of these other quarterbacks didn't see, though, in Miami. He had 267 attempts last season, 2,091 passing yards. He threw 13 passing touchdowns, which was pretty solid. He finished with a grand total of 13 touchdowns to just 8 INTs, which isn't the greatest because just like with Jameis, Fitzpatrick throws the ball everywhere, and he's a risk game in, game out because you're either going to get Fitzmagic or Fitztragic. He's either going to go in there and beat the fuck out of you relentlessly, or he's going to play like shit, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because it was fun to watch, and he's still going to do these things, and he's going to rush the ball as well. He's not necessarily like, Lamar, but he's going to run. He's going to run a bunch. 30 carries last year, 151 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He puts his body on the line to win the game, and the weapons in Washington, where he is now, are very good. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got Curtis Samuel. He's got Antonio Gibson. He's got J.D. McKissick. He has 4 solid options to throw the ball to, in my opinion. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be fully unleashed. Now, the only negative narrative against Ryan Fitzpatrick has to be, it's such an obvious one, it's that Fitzpatrick fucking sucks when he is supposed to be the guy, but when he's not supposed to be the guy, when he's like riding the bench and just fucking the Undertaker gif where he goes, well, the Undertaker's like that, like where he wakes up. That's what Fitzpatrick does. He rides the bench, he comes into the game, lights it up Snoop Dogg style, and just destroys the defense. Just metaphorically and physically bends the defense over and makes them break. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. I will ride with him this year as well. So those are my top 5 must-draft guys. Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, Joey B, famous Jameis, Eda W. Winston, and Ryan Fitzmagic. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks that I love this year. Will it change by August? Maybe. Because if fucking Keenan Allen just gets hurt or something, then Herbert's obviously not going to be as good. Who would have known? Who would have known? Or if Robert Woods get hurt, Stafford won't be as good. Knock on wood. We hope that does not happen. I love all of these guys. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys as well. 12.3 thousand subscribers we hit yesterday. Very nice. Yesterday's video was a slapper. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. Will Julio Jones go to the Patriots? I don't know, but that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys all. Happy birthday to my dad. My birthday in a couple of days. I love you guys all. Stay safe, as always. Good boy.